Great. So we have now already added one little bow to your net realizable value armory. You have learned something new at last on net realizable value, and I hope it makes sense to you. It does not change the way you do the accounting for net realizable value. Not at all. It's just telling you things to take into account when you start calculating that NRV number on your own. Now, paragraph 31 is very similar in spirit. So I just want you to remember, we have really, or I'll take the blame here, I have really concentrated on IS2 being very conservative. But don't forget that the main two things in the conceptual framework, even in 1989, was you want relevant information, but you want that to be, in the 89 words, reliable. In 2010, 2018 framework, they've changed that to faithful representation, I agree. But I think the spirit's the same. So we still want to give a reliable number. So net realizable value is bringing that future loss now. We're going to recognize it now being conservative, but we still want to measure that reliably. We don't want to manipulate it. Please not. There's not room in the world for that anymore. The world's got enough of that. You want to give a reliable number. Okay? So the first thing the ISB has asked you to do when calculating net realizable value is look at each component of your inventories. Try and get it as reliable as you can. Then what paragraph 31 is asking you to do. If you have a clothing retailer and you are selling shirts, similar to our example in the video on the item by item basis, we agree item by item there's no reason for any difference there. But what if I told you that I have 10 boxes of t-shirts? 9 of them in the new year I have seen I am going to be selling at the normal retail price. But one of those boxes I sold at below cost price to a school to help kids that needed clothes. Okay, so the loss I made on that one is going to be different to the loss on the other 9 boxes, don't you think? So that affects the reliability of that loss measurement. So the point of this paragraph 31 is to tell you, please go and take your information into account after IS10, what's happening after the reporting period. Take that into account and try and accurately measure your net realizable value loss. Okay. They try to use things here like the word firm sales or service contracts because they're really trying to tell you, please don't just sit there after UN and say, I think I'm going to do this. Or what is that joke about accountants? What would you like the loss to be? Don't do that. Rather, you have time after issuing your financial reports and ask yourself, what is that loss? And let's try and recognize that as my net realizable value adjustment at the end of that reporting period. So let's have a look at an example again. I have those t-shirts. I have 9 boxes on hand at a cost of 900 Rand for argument's sake. And I have 1 box of t-shirts. So in nature, no difference. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be writing this net realizable value just down on the total cost if there is one. Okay, because the nature is not different. But now I've also told you that in terms of IS10, before we issue these things, I have gone and seen what we sold these things for after the reporting date. And I can tell you that I've sold the first batch of t-shirts for 1,200 Rand. So on them, I've made a 300 Rand profit in the new reporting period. Then I can also tell you, like I did, that for whatever reason, that other box of t-shirts we sold at a loss. I sold them for 70 Rand. So there's a 30 Rand loss on that other box of t-shirts. So what is your net realizable value going to be? The adjustment's going to be 30 Rand to write those 100 Rand t-shirts down. Does that make sense? No journal entry on the other 9 boxes, the 900. We're not writing them down. We're only writing down those that are below cost. So what would my SFP number be? Well, there would be t-shirts at 900 Rand because lower of cost or net realizable value, they're going to be sold at a profit. So we keep it at cost. And then those other t-shirts we would have sold at 70 Rand. So the value of my inventories at the end of this reporting period is 970 Rand.